Okay. Page 17, Nika Nikoubin, C370049.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alanna Bondy on behalf of Ms. Nikoubin, who is present on blue jeans.
Okay. Do we have anyone from Texas, either Mr. possibly Rod Bishop?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Okay. So we had put this on for a hearing because we had received word from, she's being monitored out of Texas. We'd received word from Texas that she is not actually being monitored, or she doesn't have any monitoring conditions on her, and there have been issues. So my thought was to have Mr. Bishop present and explain what's going on.
Sure, Your Honor. And I would also like to make some representations maybe after Mr. Bishop makes
Okay.
his.
Go ahead, Mr. Bishop. You may be heard regarding what's going on with Ms. Nikoubin's case.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor. We received information on the 7th of this month from the news media. She apparently had spoken with someone on campus where she attends school here at the University of Texas at Dallas about an upcoming event that she was participating in, some kind of singing event in the city of Denton, which is where she lives. My understanding is, and I'm getting this third hand, but my understanding is that they end up looking her up since she was a singer, trying to decide if it was someone that they could do a story on, something along that lines. So when they did an open source search on her, everything popped about this trial that she's awaiting there in your court in July. So that immediately sparked a call from the news media to us wanting to know if we were aware of the situation and what was going on. We then began doing our due diligence, trying to come up to speed on the case and her, for not only for her safety, if this was an actual case that was pending, but also for the safety of the community. It was during that time that we learned of your court and the arraignment back in December. We also, I assume along with the media, found records from the Justice Court that stated that on March the 9th, 2022, that the court found her a danger to the community. So that has sparked immediate concerns for the safety of the campus along with the community. We checked with Denton County, which is where she lives, which is just northwest of Dallas County, where we're located. And we found out that no law enforcement agency knew that she was under house arrest in our city or attending the university out here. So that's what led us to try to reach out to the court to find out, are there any conditions? I also reached out and talked to the monitoring company in Dallas, who advised me that there were no conditions, that they were simply tracking her. So that was the nexus to what brought us here today.
Okay. Do we have anyone on from Recovery Monitoring Solutions? Seems like we do not. All right, Ms. Bondy, did you want to be heard? My understanding is that the Justice of the Peace, when he was setting the bail, had set it as house arrest, high-level electronic monitoring, and so that would be aligned with more closely with what we generally do, which includes, which would be a 6 p.m. curfew, so work and court counseling would be excluded. Check-ins every 30 days, residence required, movement would be only restricted to work or job search, legal activities, counseling, medical, religious services, school, one time a week, store, and any other activities approved by the assigned officer.
That's correct, Your Honor, and that was my understanding of what her conditions generally were: work, home, school, and any pre-approved appointments, and that is my understanding of what Ms. Nikoubin's understanding of what her conditions were and what she's been complying with. There's been reference to these singing events. Ms. Nikoubin does get paid for those events. That is part of her employment. In addition, she does work at a restaurant, so she's employed in both ways, but she does attend these singing events. She gets paid for them. She has been reporting to her GPS monitoring company that she's going to attend these events. and has sought pre-approval, which she thought she was receiving. It's a surprise to her that she hasn't been monitored under these conditions. I can represent that she has only been going to work, school, the singing events, which are also work, and then pre-approved appointments. We did have an appointment she had to attend in Philadelphia that I got pre-approved with her through her GPS company as well, back in November. So I'm just as surprised as anyone else that the GPS monitoring company is now saying she does not have any conditions or they were not monitoring her for conditions, because that was always my understanding as well as Ms. Nikoubin's understanding. So as far as I'm concerned, it seems like there's a disconnect between the court's requirements and the communication with the GPS company, but Ms. Nikoubin has been complying with all of the requirements as she understood them and as I understood them as well.
Ms. Bondy, are you in touch with Recovery Solutions? Is that Recovery Monitoring Solutions?
I have spoken to them a couple of times, yes, and they've never indicated to me that she had no requirements. I've called them a couple of times just to get the monitoring transferred over here, and then once when I was alerted that there may be an issue, and both times they never indicated to me that they weren't monitoring her for compliance with where she should be, and instead what appears now is they're just monitoring her generally. So my request, Your Honor, would be Ms. Nikoubin has stayed out of trouble this entire time. She's been on this bracelet for a year under the presumption that she is supposed to be doing homework in school. Whether that was properly monitored or not, I'm not, it appears it wasn't, but that's what she has done. And I would request that she come off of high-level electronic monitoring, especially because it appears to be an issue and causing her further issues in Texas, where people are now assuming that just because she's on electronic monitoring, she's a danger to the community, which she's proven she's not.
So my concern here is obviously that I didn't set these conditions. This is something that the Justice of the Peace set. I've never had someone monitored out of state, and it appears as though it's not working very well. So my thought would be to reiterate what the conditions of high-level electronic monitoring are today to make sure she's ensuring with this, and then continue this till Wednesday to see if you can get somebody from Recovery Monitoring Services on to ensure that this is what's being done, or what has been done in the past, because I think we have an incomplete record here as to what is actually being done, and if she's even been on house arrest or not at this point, other than obviously your representations that she's been complying with these conditions.
That's correct. Okay.
All right. And so if we could, so I'm going to reiterate, it looks like she's supposed to have a 6 p.m. curfew. Work in court-ordered counseling would be excluded. She needs to check in every 30 days. She has to have a residence. And then her movement is restricted. She can only leave the house for work, legal activities. Well, her lawyer is here, so you guys are not meeting with her in person.
That's correct. We generally do not meet in person. However, as I have stated, we have scheduled her for appointments with experts out of the state, which have, to my understanding, were pre-approved, but maybe they weren't.
Okay. Work, legal activities, counseling, medical appointments, religious services once a week, school, and the store once a week with restrictions, and then any additional activities would have to be approved by the court.
Okay, and Your Honor, maybe this should be addressed on Wednesday or now. So with respect to the singing career, obviously there's events that are held.
So I'd like to talk to Recovery Monitoring Services about what their monitoring would look like for things like that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
So we'll continue this till Wednesday to have a representative from Recovery Monitoring talk about what she's actually doing. But these are the conditions that the previous judge indicated should have been imposed. Those are our standard conditions for house arrest.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll continue this till Wednesday. It's up to you, Mr. Bishop, if you want to log on at that time. Otherwise, it's mostly going to be me communicating with Recovery Services to make sure they're complying with those conditions that were previously ordered.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would it be possible, once you do set the conditions, that we could ascertain or get a copy of it?
Yes,
just
we can
so I
get you the minutes.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sir. And thank you, Ms. Nikoubin, for being present. We'll see everyone back here Wednesday.
Thank you. At 9:30, Your Honor.
It's at 9:30 on Wednesday.